Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time around, we are exploring the body.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, and we're going to be using soul in the driver's seat as our guide.
Okay.
Specifically, how it challenges our everyday assumptions about bodies. Like all the stuff we just think is like a given.
Yeah. I mean, it really does. It kind of almost feels like a paradigm shift when you start reading it
Mhm.
because it frames the body in such a different way.
Interesting. Okay, so what are some of the big questions it throws at us? Like, what's it making us really think about?
Well, for one, like, is your body really just yours?
Hmm.
Or is there like an element of it being for service to others?
Oh, wow.
And then it really gets into like, how much do our judgments about bodies, both our own and other people's, actually affect our
Oh,
lives?
yeah.
And it goes into some really specific areas too, like body image,
Mm.
aging, gender norms when it comes to clothing, even stuff like nudity.
Okay, we are going there. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So, one of the first things that jumped out at me reading this was this concept of the body as a vehicle.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
So what they emphasize in the text is this idea of the body being like separate and independent, almost like a tool
Okay.
that the soul is using to kind of like navigate the world.
Okay.
But the thing that's really crucial is it completely rejects this idea that bodies are like inherently sinful
Oh, interesting.
or something that separates us from God or whatever higher power you believe in.
That's fascinating because so many views, especially traditional religious views, are about that.
Right.
Like controlling the body, denying its desires, seeing it as almost an obstacle to your spiritual growth.
Exactly. And this book really turns that on its head. It's like, no, the body is a magnificent creation. It's worthy of respect. It's worthy of appreciation. But at the same time, it acknowledges that our bodies are influenced by things we can't control, like genetics,
Mm.
societal pressures, all that.
Right, so it's not pretending those don't exist.
Exactly.
It's more like, how do we understand their role and how we relate to our bodies?
hmm
It makes me think, how often do we judge people purely based on how they look? Like, you don't even know their name, but you've already got them in some category in your head based on their body.
Right. And that is such a perfect example of how this perspective can shift things. Imagine if instead of going to that judgment place,
Yeah.
we saw each person's body as this vehicle
Yeah.
with its own unique journey, carrying a soul with its own story.
Right.
It totally changes how you interact with people.
And it makes me think, if we're honest with ourselves, how
Yeah,
many times have we done that to ourselves? Internalized all that pressure and turned it against our own bodies?
absolutely. And that's something that the text really doesn't shy away from. It actually encourages a deep dive into those judgments that we make about ourselves.
Hmm. So I noticed too, it really goes on to challenge a whole range of societal norms around bodies.
Oh, yeah, big time. Like,
All those unspoken rules we just sort of follow without even thinking.
yes, dress codes, conformity.
Right.
And then it even goes a level deeper, talking about the gendered expectations around clothes and appearance.
Wow, yeah, and that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. We are given these blueprints, like how to dress, hair, makeup, even how to move your body based on if you're a boy or a girl. And I keep thinking, whose rules are these?
That's exactly the kind of question this book wants you to wrestle with. And they lay out these daily reflections, almost like prompts.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that really hit me. It's about repurposing our bodies for service to others, not just our own desires. What would that look like?
That's so interesting. It really does like flip the script on how we usually think about our bodies, doesn't it? Totally.
Instead of it being this like vessel for our own pleasure or gratification or whatever,
Yeah.
it becomes a tool for something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. Now, the text doesn't necessarily give you step-by-step instructions on how to do that.
Right.
It's more about sparking that inquiry within yourself.
So it's not about fixing ourselves.
No, it's about challenging us to look at where our ideas about the body even came from.
Oh, interesting.
Like really dig deep into our motivations and stuff.
So it's this journey of discovery, not like reaching some end goal.
Exactly.
It's about seeing where this whole process leads you.
And it's a year-long process, too. It's not just a quick fix.
A whole year. Wow.
Yeah.
Makes sense, though, right? This isn't something you just skim the surface of.
No, it's deep work. And they really go into some thought-provoking areas, like even the discomfort people feel around nudity. Why do certain things make us uneasy? Is that really just natural, or is it society?
That is something I've always wondered about. There are definitely certain types of nudity I'm totally fine with.
Yeah.
But then others, I'm like, ooh, I don't know about this. And I can never quite pinpoint WHY? Like, where did that reaction come from?
Right, right. Yeah, it really makes you think, huh, like where do those comfort levels even come from? And that's kind of what the book wants us to explore, right? To unpack all those societal norms we just kind of absorb without realizing it.
And it goes even beyond that. It talks about how society treats bodies that don't fit the typical mold, people with disabilities, nursing mothers.
Right.
It's like it shines a light on all these places where we might have unconscious biases,
Yeah.
without even realizing it.
Oh, absolutely. And the text doesn't try to give you all the answers or tell you what to believe.
Right.
It's more about prompting you to ask those tough questions like,
Right.
are these norms really serving US or are they serving somebody else's agenda?
Good point.
Like, when does a compliment about your body cross the line into pressure to conform?
Yeah.
And what can we unlearn about bodies to become more accepting of ourselves and other people? That's one of the things I really appreciate about this book. It's not telling you what to think. It's giving you the tools to think for yourself.
I agree.
It's about becoming more conscious and intentional in how you relate to your own body and other people's bodies, too.
For sure. And speaking of intentionality, that kind of brings us to what I see as the main message of the book, which is this shift from an ego-driven view of the body to a soul-driven one.
Okay, so break that down for me a little. What does that even mean? Ego-driven versus soul-driven?
So the way they describe it is the ego is very fixated on external validation. It's all about like the perfect physical form, getting compliments, measuring your worth by how other people see your body.
Right.
But a soul-driven relationship is more about recognizing the inherent worth and beauty of your body, no matter how it looks, no matter how it functions.
So it's not about pretending your physical reality doesn't exist or that societal pressures don't exist.
Right.
It's more about choosing to view your body through a different lens.
Exactly. And that is a huge shift. It changes how you experience everything about your body, how you dress, how you move, how you feel about aging and your body changing over time.
It makes me think about all that energy we waste on trying to fix things we don't like about ourselves.
Yeah.
Or achieve some ideal that, probably doesn't even really exist. What if we took all that energy and just put it into understanding and appreciating our bodies as they are?
That's the invitation of this book, isn't it? It's not about getting to some perfect end state. It's about the journey. Letting those daily reflections guide you and seeing where it takes you.
And that takes patience, right? Self-compassion.
Oh, for sure.
This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about acknowledging where you are and, gently nudging yourself toward a more loving and accepting relationship with your body.
Exactly. It's about unlearning all those years of conditioning,
Yeah.
all the negative self-talk, and just cultivating gratitude for this amazing, incredible vessel that lets us experience the world.
So for our listener out there, I think it's important to say this isn't about feeling bad if you don't have a perfect relationship with your body or like you need to fix yourself.
Right.
This is about opening yourself up to a new way of seeing things. And that new way is based in love and acceptance and understanding the true purpose of your body.
And that purpose, as the text points out, it goes beyond just serving your own needs. It hints at this idea that your body is a vehicle for something much bigger, something that connects you to a deeper purpose and meaning. And that brings us to the final thought that the text leaves you with.
Oh, yeah?
It says, after a year of doing these reflections, you're ready for material for mature souls.
Ooh, that is intriguing.
So now it's like, okay, what does that next level of understanding look like? What happens when you move past just accepting your body and you start to explore its full potential as an instrument for something greater?
It's like it's saying you've done the groundwork, you've built the foundation.
Yeah.
Now you're ready to go to this whole other level.
And I think that's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like there's an end point.
Right.
This journey is ongoing. And as you go deeper, it just keeps unfolding, revealing new layers and possibilities.
I gotta admit, I'm hooked. I want to know more about this material for mature souls. What does that even entail?
Me too. But maybe that's the whole point. It leaves you with this sense of wonder, this anticipation, this invitation to keep exploring and see what those next steps might be for you personally.
I love that. It's not like the conversation ends here. It's just the beginning.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's not about giving you all the answers. It's about sparking that curiosity, inspiring you to question things, to go on your own journey of discovery when it comes to your body.
Yeah. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into Soul in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good to recap the main things we talked about, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We started with this whole idea of the body as a vehicle, separate, independent, a tool for the soul.
Mm-hmm. And how that perspective challenges so many of the things we just accept as normal, like all those judgments we make about bodies, all the rules about how we're supposed to dress and look and act.
Totally. It's like it gives you permission to question all of it.
Exactly. Like, do these things really serve me? Or are they keeping me from experiencing the full potential of my body?
That's such a good question. And then, of course, the big shift the book talks about, moving from an ego-driven view of the body to a soul-driven one.
Yes. That's really the heart of it, isn't it?
It is, and it's something I think we all struggle with, especially now when you're just bombarded with all these messages about how you should
Yeah,
look.
for sure.
But the book doesn't just tell you what to think, it gives you the tools to do the inner work, to figure out what you believe.
Right. And that takes time, right?
Yeah.
It's not about some overnight transformation.
It's about the journey, letting those daily reflections guide you one day at a time.
And having compassion for yourself along the way.
Absolutely. Not beating yourself up for maybe the way you viewed your body in the past.
Mm-hmm. It's about taking it slow and steady,
Mm.
acknowledging where you are, and then making those little shifts day by day.
So, for our listener, I think it's really important to say this isn't about guilt, right? If you don't feel like you have a perfect relationship with your body, it's not about that.
No, not at all.
It's about being open to seeing things differently. And that new way of seeing is about love and acceptance and understanding the true purpose of your body.
And as we talked about, that purpose goes beyond just serving your own needs.
Yeah, it hints at something much bigger, right?
Right. And that brings us to that final thought from the book, which is, after a year of these reflections, you're ready for what they call material for mature souls.
Ooh, that line really got me thinking. What does that even mean?
I know. It's so intriguing. It's almost like now you've laid the groundwork.
Yeah.
You've built the foundation.
Yeah.
And you're ready for the next level.
Okay, so what is that next level? I need to know.
I wish I had all the answers. But, maybe that's part of the point. Maybe it's intentionally left open-ended
Mm.
to make you keep exploring, to keep that sense of wonder alive, to see what those next steps might be for you.
I do love that. The conversation isn't over, it's just beginning.
Right. And that's the beauty of this whole deep dive. It's not about giving you all the answers. It's about sparking that curiosity, that desire to keep learning and questioning.
So, listener, if you're intrigued, if this whole conversation has resonated with you,
Yeah.
I highly encourage you to check out Soul in the Driver's Seat. See what it sparks in you, what challenges it brings up for you, what new discoveries you make about your own relationship with your body. And keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts, share your insights. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy deep diving.